You know what, I didn't think about it, I always thought you were on
Think
the
about
other
that in light of the
side.
budget.
For some reason, I didn't think about it.
Because they did return some wild rivers
on the
back to
confrontation.
a wild state.
You did the window,
I'm big on the, what's the compromise?
Let's make it work, yeah.
Was it his dad or his uncle that was like the governor?
no.
Did you see this? Why they're not paying the
Did you
water
use
bill?
that?
Yeah,
Well, that's the only one that really
that
bothers me.
changed hands. There's a couple of people in here I know. I mean,
People, I don't want to deal with people, but that stuck out. I may ask
Indian
about that.
Wells?
yeah, no, absolutely. That annoys me every year.
About the person that owes us $14.
Indian Wells is
Yeah,
one of my
right.
wife's
Before we
clients.
got
Oh, okay. So if she's
That's
gonna
not the
be
one.
there.
Ruin her credit. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Camera rolling. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Coastside County Water District. Today is Tuesday, October 13th. Roll call, please.
Yes, Director Coverdale.
Here.
Vice President Glassberg.
Here.
Director Reynolds.
Here.
Director Flint.
Here.
President Michelson.
Here. Pledge of allegiance, please. All right, thank you. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. So I have to get back into the swing of things. I missed a couple meetings. Thank you very much, and thank you to the board and Vice President Glassberg. I'm assuming you did a great job in my absence. Thank you very much. And you missed a meeting too, right, Ken? Did you have fun while you were gone, I hope?
I had way too much fun, but I think we ought to get on with it, because I guess Hillary and Bernie are going to start duking it out.
Oh, they
Now
started
in
at
30
6,
minutes.
I know.
Oh, did they? Well,
Yeah, I
thought
was
it
listening to it.
8:30.
It was just starting up.
Oh, okay, so we'll...
Unless there's an A and a B debate, but yeah, I
Who are
know.
the other
Debates
guys?
have been really...
Somebody said a mannequin from Macy's was one of them, I think.
Biden's thinking about it.
Yeah, they kept it space for him.
Does this qualify as our public comment? Do we have any more, do we have any more public comment?
But I digress.
Seeing none, let's move to the, this is a pretty light agenda. Moving to consent calendar, Director Reynolds, did you find it to be in order?
Yes, I did.
Anyone have any questions? And I know this is our annual, and I look at the list, and of course I know two of the people on the list. When next time I see them in public, I'm going to ask them, where's our money?
I have a question about
Yeah,
that.
so please.
And I'm referring to the, what do we call this?
Writing off the bad...
Writing off the bad debts, that's the item I'm looking at. And I just had a question about Shoreline Station. We're not dealing with an individual here, we're dealing with an established retail company, and I'm just wondering if we have any sense about why they're not...
It's the old owners, and we believe they went through bankruptcy. It's not the new owners, and it's the old owners.
Okay. So in a situation like that, do we put in a claim with the bankruptcy court when they're going through that process, or, I mean, I don't know
We
how that...
probably should have at the time. I assume this is a little older, so
Yeah.
Oh, this is
But in the
last year, isn't
future,
it?
we'll
It's a year
take
ago.
a,
Sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite a while.
Do we
ago.
report
No.
to credit agencies, or do we?
Yes, we do.
We do report to, and we do we go to sell this to collection agencies then, or?
We have a collection agency in Pacifica that works with us,
Okay.
and over a certain limit, we will send to actual collections.
And what is that limit?
I think it's over $100 is what we
Okay,
send.
so they will get annoying phone
Okay.
calls. So- Thank you. We had a nursery go, what did nurserymen's go BK?
Yes.
yeah.
And it was a significantly higher number. And I was not happy about that, but, yeah, so I can appreciate your.
We have very
concern.
limited, there's very limited possibility of recovering anything in a bankruptcy.
Yeah,
We
no, I
learned
understand.
We spent a lot of money on the nurseryman's bankruptcy, on legal fees, and then I think we ultimately wrote off something in the neighborhood of $50,000.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to
I'd
accept?
like to move we approve the consent calendar.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, or roll call, please?
Yes, Director Coverdell?
Aye.
Vice President Glassberg?
Aye.
Director
Aye.
Reynolds? Director Plitt?
Aye.
President Michelson?
Aye. Item 5, meetings attended, director comments. Anyone have anything?
I went to the Recycled Water Committee meeting with him and Dave and Mary, and I see that it's in the general manager's report, so I will defer any comment because it was nicely summarized there.
Thank you. I did go to a Bosca meeting, it's been a little while now, but Mountain Tunnel is now on kind of the front burner.
Oh, good.
So they have, it's worst-case scenario, they're looking at, 180 days, at the very worst-case scenario, 180-day outage. And so they are moving more water down here, that's why Crystal Springs is being held at such a high level. Just in case anything were to happen, we have, we're worst-case scenario, that time frame. But it's going to be a long, slow process, and I'd have to win multiple elections to see it through. I mean, it was that far out. Next summer, they are going to they're literally going to have to blaze roads just to get access points to do inspections. I mean, it's that remote, and they haven't been out there in years, and they just assumed that when they did that tunnel, it was forever. So it's long and slow process, but it is getting funding, and they are looking at it, and they are taking it seriously.
Aren't they also running electricity to the city and county of San Francisco through that tunnel? Would that be impacted?
Yeah, certainly, it's above Moccasin, yes. So the water, that road goes to the Moccasin Water Plant, does travel through Mountain Tunnel. And then, the Restore Hetchy people, or, that is ongoing litigation, and it's all public. I mean, that lawsuit is going on. We did have a closed session on it with a little more detail, but it is public knowledge that we are spending money at a certain law firm in San Francisco to represent us in that, and
Representing Bauska.
yeah, representing Bauska, and the MID and TID are also involved in the lawsuit. So we'll see. You'll read about it in the paper. I mean, it's going to be a long haul, and they probably won't win, but we're all going to spend legal fees. Hence, our rates at Bauska will probably go up a little bit. Okay. And that was about it. Anyone else? Moving on to general business. Dave, please.
Okay, tonight we have before us a resolution that would adopt the mitigated negative declaration for the El Granada Pipeline Replacement Final Phase project and approve the project. I'll just briefly summarize what I laid out in the staff report for the project and the history of our CEQA efforts. The El Granada Pipeline Replacement Final Phase project, as most people know, will replace the original 10-inch welded steel pipeline now mounted to the Main Street Bridge with a new alignment that runs along the edge of the creek to the west, crosses the creek underneath the creek, and surfaces at the northern end of Purissima Street. The project also consists of replacing the installing a 16-inch main down Purissima Street to Mill Street, and then up Mill Street where it will reconnect to the 16-inch main in Main Street. This is the last piece of the district's main north-south artery running all the way from El Granada Tank 1 to Alves Tank down on Miramadas Point Road. This is the last piece of 10-inch to be replaced with 16-inch. So other than this 300 feet or so that runs across the Main Street Bridge, everything else is 16-inch. So we hired through EKI, our design engineer, we hired WRA environmental consultants to prepare an environmental document for this project. And on July 14th, the district CEQA lead agency issued a notice of intent to adopt a draft initial study and proposed mitigated negative declaration. What that means is that there are impacts, but with mitigation, they are less than significant. That draft mitigated negative declaration was posted for public review on July 14th. The public comment period closed on August 13th. We got a specific request from the city of Half Moon Bay for an extension of time to review for the planning commissioners, and a Committee for Green Foothills also requested an extension, and we granted both those requesters extensions until September 28th. We received, I think, 4 comments on the document. California Coastal Commission raised some questions about water supply and future land use planning. One of the things that came up as issues in the 2003 El Granada Pipeline Coastal Development Permit. Those got addressed then, and we actually, after writing responses to the Coastal Commission's comments and providing the Coastal Commission staffer with a copy of the proposed final document, we got an email back saying, "Thank you, I don't have any more questions." So I think we responded well to the Coastal Commission's comments. State Water Resources Control Board sent us kind of a pro forma letter calling our attention to the potential availability of funds under this Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and if we decided to use those, we'd have to meet certain environmental documentation requirements. Committee for Green Foothills submitted comments. One of the things they asked for was the presence of a qualified biologist during certain construction activities, and then they commented on full protection of riparian vegetation. And then we got some comments from City Planning Commissioner Rick Hernandez. All of those, as we do in each environmental document, we included the comment letters in the document. Each comment is bracketed and numbered, as you saw when you reviewed the document, and we respond to every comment. And so we have addressed all of those comments. The final document includes the comments and the responses. And we did change some things in response to the comments. In response to the concerns of Commissioner Hernandez that the noise of our construction activities might disturb the folks staying in hotels downtown, staying in Zabala House and other hotels downtown, we put in our documents that the contractor can't start till 8 o'clock. Contractors don't like that, but I think that's a reasonable accommodation. We will have, in response to a couple of comments, we will have our qualified biologists present on site during construction activities that might affect protected species. And we revised language and changed some other things in response to the comments. So I think we were pretty responsive to the comments that were really relevant to a CCWD document. There will be the potential for the city to impose conditions that sort of fall outside the purview of CCWD, but we expect that. So the recommended action is to approve a resolution, and in doing so, the board would make the findings in the resolution, certify the final study mitigated negative declaration for the El Granada Pipeline Replacement Final Phase Project, and in that action, you would also be approving the project.
Any discussion, questions from the board?
And that concludes my summary. In case there are any questions from the board, I have Steve Tarantino of EKI here and Jonathan Hidalgo from WRA. Jonathan did much of the work on the preparation of the CCWD document, and WRA really did an excellent job of. They basically did everything. They did all the posting, the noticing. We sent notices to every owner and tenant within 300 feet of the project site. We sent the city 2 different copies, and WRA's quick documentation of that helped us resolve a little issue that came up with the city where they didn't think they had the document. So WRA did a great job, and Jonathan is here to answer any questions you might have, and I can I can answer them as well, so with that.
Jonathan, planning on going to the planning commission?
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll have
that
our-
would be probably more
we will
important
have-
than coming
yeah, we'll
here,
have all
because
of
that's where
our,
you're going to get peppered with questions.
We'll have everybody at the planning commission meeting.
Okay. Does this board have
November 10th.
have any questions?
Yeah, I did know that, yeah. Okay. You told us. You told us.
None?
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Real thorough.
Damn, take the rest of the night off. Do we have a motion to,
Sure. I move to approve Resolution 2015-12, adopting a mitigated negative declaration for the El Granada Pipeline Replacement Final Phase Project, and also approval of the project.
I'll second that.
moved and seconded? John, please.
Yes, Dr. Coverdale?
Well, shouldn't we, debate it or something? Rally these guys up?
Maybe there's another
This is
alternative to look
America.
This is a Renew America project. This has the American flag.
Yes, aye.
Dr. Glassberg?
Aye.
Dr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Dr. Flint?
Aye.
President Michelson?
Aye. Thank you very much. Thanks for,
Thanks for making long trips. Sorry
yeah.
we didn't-
Well, it's cooler over here than where you're going back to,
Yeah,
so
I
it's.
think in Sacramento.
It's not far, let's put it that way.
Oh, San Rafael, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks
and
for the good work.
Thanks.
your work will be
A lot of
cut out
work
for
to
your planning
prepare for
commission.
that brief
That's-
moment.
The work will be cut out for
Decision
our
making.
planning commission.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come armed and ready, or Jonathan will come armed.
yeah, and the questions will be coming his way.
these days. We'll come well prepared.
Please,
Well prepared.
please don't come armed. We don't need that.
Now that I've said that out loud. Turn off the
Sounds
recorder.
Get you a plane ticket to Syria, I think.
Yeah.
if you're armed.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so how did our rate increase impact our quarterly? I guess a little early. But,
Yes, for-
yeah, I'm curious, I'd be really curious to see how that number backfills for the shortage in sales.
Yeah. Well, we're 3 months in, and so we are $154,000 down on revenue, which represents 11 million gallons for the quarter. So, but we're going into kind of the period now where, irrigation may be less as we go in the winter months. So we'll see how, we'll stabilize. I will say, it's really just hit home, I think, to ratepayers. The rate increase, we're getting a lot of calls, a lot of, questions regarding our bills.
Which brings up my question, with lower sales, what is this done to the average bill?
It's raised, it's raised. the
Significant
bill.
because our customers are clearly using less.
I think.
So is one washed out the other, or is it close, or?
No, it's still, if you use the same that you did last year, you're going to see
But we've had-
roughly a 24% increase.
But we've had some pretty serious cutback, in usage, right?
Yeah.
Where are we at? What would be a number for cutback?
Well,
From what, depends on what time period.
Yeah, for the last 12 months, we're averaging, we had 586 million gallons, which actually we were budgeting 590 for the year. But for the last 3 months, we're down 6%, so from what we planned.
so just in fiscal 2013, we sold 700 million gallons. At fiscal 15, we were projecting 620, and we hit somewhere below that, 610.
610.
Right, so it's been dropping, and the current,
So that more than half offsets the rate increase.
well, no, the rate increase was based on the assumption that we would sell 590 million gallons in fiscal
So I mean,
16.
it's from the, relative to the bill, to the customer's bill.
Yes, well, there's, the rate increase, the rates have gone up more quickly than our customers' usage
Yeah,
has gone down.
slightly, but
Yeah.
it's not like people are seeing 24% higher than last year. They're 5 to 10-ish is.
Well, it would be
back
offset
available
by
kind of.
the amount, by which they've reduced their consumption over the last year.
Yeah, and that's been pretty significant.
Right.
And are we, as a district, we were hoping for voluntary 8% reduction. What are we looking like now? For, say, the last billing
For
period?
sales, it's around, we're comparing to 2013.
Right.
For that, it's like 20%.
So we're 20% voluntary.
For sales, yeah. For production, you know, it's a little different because we have the non-revenue water, but
And that's a gross reduction.
gross, yeah.
Right, and most of the reduction has been in residential, so our residential customers have cut back significantly more than 20%.
And the commercial
Yeah, that's my
increase in
point.
price was lower than the residential, is that true? The rate increases.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
There was a shift of revenue from non-residential to
Right.
residential.
So all those things are working against the budget, right? Greater conservation and rate increases being sort of offset and experiencing more conservation in the sector that is being increased the most. Yeah. Huh,
Yes.
Interesting.
Although-
But it's still not horrible. I mean, for this time of the year and given the
I would
fact
say
it's a
that-
drought. I
Yeah,
think-
yeah, no, so
Compared to
I'm,
last year at
it's like
this
a
time, we were down
bingo.
10%.
It's like a bingo, isn't it?
That's a
Yes.
well,
positive trend.
I guess where I'm really going is that rate increase is looking pretty justified right now, and then
Yes.
some.
Yes.
So the numbers seem to be working. I mean, not perfect, but who knows? We can't predict the weather. So I think we did the right thing is really where I'm going.
But essentially, if we right now were to incorporate the iBank loan for the El Granado pipeline project completion, that would add considerably to our expenditures here, right? I mean, it would double the payment to capital improvements.
It
To the-
would add,
I mean, the bond payment line, wouldn't it almost double?
we're spending, yeah.
The
we
debt
would-
servicing?
We would be adding between principal and interest, between, 3 and 4, 400,000 a year.
Yeah, so almost double this.
So it'll be 650
Yeah.
altogether.
So that would cause quite a change, wouldn't it, in the way the budgeting's going?
That was planned in.
It was
I
planned, though.
understand.
We planned.
Oh, I know it is. I just was, when I was reading through the numbers at home, I was just noticing that that's going to go up quite a bit. I'm not saying, I'm not talking against it. It's going to be another.
Yeah, but it is in the plan.
Yeah.
No, I remember, yeah. But I don't think this looks bad at all. I thought we'd be much worse off.
No, we did have some expense savings. And we haven't, we actually lost one of our office specialists. She retired in August, Deborah Barella.
Wow.
And then we budgeted 2 additional positions. And actually, the positions, one is still vacant. We have our utility billing specialist is starting next week. Deborah's replacement is starting next week. And then we just, so we're, so we have had some personnel savings. The other savings, we have some timing differences. I'm not, I don't think that we'll, that they're permanent savings. They're kind of a combination of consulting and maintenance and various things, so.
Because we haven't really spent a very large portion of the capital improvement budget either.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
what do we spend, like 400,000 to date out of 4 million or something?
Don't tell Feldmeister.
I'm going to tell him. It'll bring him down to the meetings, and he has a great sense of humor.
Well, that doesn't show up here. I mean, basically, the message here is we're on track.
Yeah, and that's my point. I mean, that as high as that was, or painful as that may have been, that rate increase clearly was justified just to keep us operating.
Oh, yeah. That's
Thank you. Any more questions? Good. Thank you, and moving on to vacation time. I mean, general
Okay.
manager's report.
Yeah, it's, I was gone for the month, most of the month of September, and things just went better than ever, so.
Wow.
And I have to credit.
Whoops.
I have to credit the staff for that. I really appreciate everyone's.
Well, that's a sign of a good staff, if they allow the
Right.
boss to take a vacation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's,
It's great. Recycled water. We've been following recycled water closely and working with Kennedy Jenks. Mary and I went to the SAM board meeting on September 28th. And then after that meeting, they scheduled another special meeting on October 5th, which I attended. Sam has been trying for some time to define a scope for some consulting for its side of the project, the recycled water treatment facilities. And they'd issued an RFP, and they got proposals from two teams, HydroScience, Kennedy Jenks, and RMC SRT. They both got a chance to talk on September 28th. Those teams presented fairly different proposals. Kennedy Jenks, HydroScience Kennedy Jenks came in with a proposal that focused just on kind of the initial task of preparing a facilities plan, and that was about $200,000. And SRT RMC came in basically assuming that there already was a facilities plan because our SRT did that, and they proposed the entire design process from, the initial stages all the way to the final design documents and assistance with bidding. And that price tag was something like $1 million. So the board was struggling with two pretty sharply contrasting proposals and trying to figure out this issue of, do they really need to do a facilities plan, or do they already have one? I kind of fall on the HydroScience Kennedy Jenks side, and I spoke at the September 28th meeting and pointed out that the water quality specification that the golf course, our customer, has given us is pretty clear. And the water quality specification for the water that will come out of this treatment plant that is contemplated in the facilities plan are a long ways apart on some critical parameters. So they have basically said they're going to, and this is actually in the SRT report, SRT was clear about it, they've said they're going to build a facility that produces water that doesn't meet the golf course requirements. And I feel like we really need to deal with that. And I'm kind of a broken record on that topic. I mean, why would you build a facility that makes water that somebody doesn't want to buy? But in fairness to SRT, there's some other things that were not on the table. SRT said, well, this water will not meet the quality requirements of the golf course, but they can solve that problem by increased flushing with CCWD water, with potable water. And we haven't really talked about that here, but I don't think it makes any sense for this district to invest customer risk and customer money in a project, in a recycled water project that has the effect of increasing the golf course's demand for potable water. It just does not make sense. I mean, everybody thinks a recycled water project should eliminate the use of drinking water on the golf course. That's what everybody expects. I think that's what people want. They don't want to be having to let their lawns die while the golf course remains lush on drinking water. So one of the things that I said to the board was, well, the water district's criterion is there has to be no use of drinking water on the golf course. Well, as soon as you say that, you can't build the facility that's been proposed. So that, that's an issue we have to deal with. I think we are taking the right approach, and that is first developing a very detailed water quality specification, looking at whether the water that comes out of SAM without an increased level of treatment like reverse osmosis can be applied to the golf course. I think the answer to that is no. I think the SAM staff made a presentation saying that this microfiltration facility that they've been talking about for a while will not meet the quality requirements, and that they are going to need an element of reverse osmosis. So at the October 5th meeting, basically with that on the table, the board said, well, maybe we should wait until we get some results from CCWD's technical memo number 1 on water quality specifications.
Do we have that?
Makes a lot of sense. We don't have it yet. I promised that we would present it, or at least present the essence of it at the October 19th Recycled Water Committee meeting.
So we will have it in the next few days.
Right.
On Monday.
Oh, we'll have the essential pieces of it. We're having we had a conference call with Kennedy Jenks Friday. We'll have another one with them tomorrow.
Okay, so yeah, 'cause it's getting close to the 19th, that's what I'm wondering.
Right.
Oh, man.
And so
And that's a
they've,
critical document.
they've developed a detailed comparison of, here's the specification that the golf course has presented. Here's what a number of other water recycling projects have, the successful ones have used. And so we can do that comparison. But I think what we need to do before we spend a lot of effort and a lot of money on pursuing this is get to the point where we can make a basic financial feasibility go, no-go decision. The golf course, Ocean Colony Partners, has basically put $525,000 a year on the table and said, this is it, this is all we're willing to spend. So I can't see any reason that our ratepayers should spend money on recycled water, significant money. And they are going to take a significant risk if we go forward with this project. And so we have to decide whether, we have to kind of figure out whether we can do a project for that kind of money. And I think that it's going to be very difficult. I mean, Mary's run some numbers, and even if we make some optimistic assumptions about the capital cost, low-cost loans, and even grants, there's still going to be a gap. But I think, the sooner we can get everybody to that point of understanding, the better. So that's what we're working toward. In the meetings that I've attended, I felt like there's still strong interest and a real commitment to try to do something if we can. I think recycled water enjoys really strong public support. Everybody's question is, well, why don't we have recycled water? I can't, if we're so desperate, why don't we have recycled water? And we need to be able to answer that question for the public, I think. And I think we will, someday recycled water will be an important part of our water supply portfolio, I think of everyone's. I think it's going to be, what we have to figure out now is with this phase 1 project that we have conceptualized, can we get there? Anyway, so that's my little bit verbose summary of what's going on with recycled water. And so we've got a committee meeting on the 19th where I think we'll present that in more detail.
Yeah, Ken, please.
When Sam wanted to get the portable plant and wanted to run some water treatment projects so they could test what the water quality output was. And I remember that we were resistant because we had actually done that 10 years earlier or something, run some test plants. How does the water that came out of that test plant compare with the water quality that Kennedy Jenks is talking about?
You mean with the water quality specification for the golf course? The pilot project they ran was a filtration project. They piloted a microfiltration process. Microfiltration removes solids, and it helps you meet the requirement, essentially the bacteriological requirements for recycled water. They call it Title 22 requirements. But the problem for the golf course is the salts in the wastewater, and microfiltration does nothing to remove salts, chloride, sodium, and total dissolved solids. So that they go right through a microfilter. That they can only, you can only solve that problem by blending with a higher quality water or by using reverse osmosis to remove those salts.
And by running the water through the settling ponds and blending with storm water or, blending with recycled water on the golf course, does that help at all to remove the salts?
Sure, any diluting the water with any lower salt concentration water helps, but it takes a pretty large quantity. And when you're talking about stormwater, the problem the golf course has is when they have stormwater, they have a whole lot of it.
Sure.
And they end up having to release it from some of their ponds. And then so you don't have enough storage to kind of hang on to that higher quality water and then, mix it in a batch with the lower quality recycled water.
But the Ocean Colony also has wells, right? So can't
Yes.
they blend the well water?
That's something that
part of the blending?
that's something that we'll need to look at. But they are using, their main use of our water is to flush the greens to make up for the lower quality of the well water.
I see.
And we don't know much about the quality of the well water. And one of the golf course's stated goals for this project is to eliminate the use of the wells. That's one of the things, or to greatly reduce the use of the wells. So
Yeah.
one of the things, the blanks we need to fill in is, what are the golf course's criteria for availability of well water? How much, when, and what's the quality?
I think that's the most interesting thing about the project is that a lot of people are putting up fences about what they're willing to participate in, but nobody knows what the final reality is. And so everybody's going to have to give and take a little bit. I mean, the Ocean Colony may have a stated goal of how much money, or, Sam may have a stated goal of what kind of plant they want to design. And, we might have a stated goal about, not giving any water, but I think there's, without flexibility, that thing just dead in the water before it ever gets started. And I think that's the only thing that I feel frustrated about is there's a lot of attitude in the meeting about who's going to be responsible and how to march ahead and how to make forward progress. But I think that everybody's already made decisions and they're not based on the real facts of what's going to be required. I mean, just the equipment that we have to build on our side to prevent contamination and all those issues, there's a lot of facility to be created. So I just hope everybody keeps going there with a attitude of, we're going to make it work somehow. Because it'll be imperative in 10 years, if we continue in a drought sequence, and we have no idea how it's going to go. It could be that that's the only way to have anything green out at the Ocean Colony, whether they like the price or not, So the decision is, do you want to play golf on dead lawn? And, that might not be very exciting.
Well, thanks for your efforts, and I look forward to presenting.
More to come.
You guys presenting the
Thank you.
technical memo, and this is the customer deserves the water that he needs, because he doesn't want to burn his greens, with salty water, so. Okay.
Well, that's where it went, years ago, when there was an attempt to get the recycled water to Bay City and to Nurse.
Oh, they were.
It was a water quality just in a minute, and
One bad batch, and they're, $1 million loss.
Yeah.
Thank you, thanks. Joe, you're up.
Okay, busy month. The items that I listed, I'd just like to highlight. We had another leak on Cosalino's property on Highway 92. It's always a scary thing. It's the one thing that keeps me up.
Can't slip line that fast enough.
And we do have a contractor out there to survey. We need to establish the boundaries of our easement. And I gave him the notice to proceed 2 weeks ago. He went out there initially, he was having a hard time finding a reference monument. to get started on the survey. So we sent his crew out there last week. I have yet to get an update from them. But once we do that, we'll be able to establish whether we could actually lay a pipe or slip line a pipe. And we'll make that decision as soon as we get the report in from the surveyor. Teeter thinks that maybe we could just lay the pipe. There was going to be a problem with the Lenevia kind of squatting on our easement, and that's one of the reasons why we want to establish the clear delineation of our easement.
That's probably not the only squatter on our
Right.
vast easements.
What happens when you drink wine when you're surveying?
But this is, yeah, it becomes a little problematic when there's a leak, because they give us all kinds of grief. And the other highlight, I think, was the Washington Ventura Street main replacement project. As you probably recall, this was part of our pipeline replacement project that we accelerated due to some paving and street repairs on these various streets. We wanted to get our pipeline in before the city did their paving. Ventura Street went really, really good. Very well, it's all done. Washington Street's another story. It's a little bit more complex, and in the process, there are 3 high voltage crossings in the path, and PG&E, I questioned, I go, why didn't you tell us this beforehand? They stopped the project until they could get a plan together to de-energize these lines. They don't want us anywhere near these lines. This is going to happen in the first 2 weeks of October or November. What other? Oh, you know, Hatch School. I don't know, and I mentioned this for your benefit in case you get any calls. They have yellow water there. I went out there and did an investigation. This happens every year. It's mainly because the infrastructure throughout the campus is a 2-inch galvanized line. And I explained to them, there's nothing we could do. The water coming in through your meter is crystal clear. It just picks up this iron from the galvanized line that crisscrosses their campus. The only real solution for them is to replace those lines or have some kind of treatment at the point sources. And briefly, I'd just like to mention the caustic feed system that I mentioned in my report. The water in Crystal Springs Reservoir the alkalinity has actually dropped over the years. And with low alkalinity, it makes it hard to have effective coagulation with alum. And what happens is the alum part, the aluminum part, actually, we get an aluminum residual in our finished water. We should have none. And that's because the aluminum reacts, the whole reaction involves the alkalinity elements of the water. And with low alkalinity, it has nothing to work with. So we did a little jar test, and we found that if we add a little bit of caustic at the front end of the plant, it adds just enough alkalinity to react with the alum to make the hydrolysis go to completion, and will result in 0 aluminum residual in our water. Is aluminum residual bad? Well, not really. There's a secondary standard that the EPA has. There's a primary and secondary standard. We're nowhere near the primary standard, which is the enforceable standard. The secondary standard is an aesthetic standard, and we're approaching it. But we don't want any of it, so that's why I mentioned that. And I'm kind of proud of these guys. They're doing this on their own at the treatment plant. They're setting up the feed system.
This is a ratio feed system?
Yeah, it's just like a regular chemical feed system. So
Cool.
if you have any questions?
Rantron Road?
Rantron Road.
Where is that?
These are the radar stations in Pelocitos Canyon.
okay.
Those 2 roads that go up from either side,
Yeah, okay, got it.
they contribute a tremendous amount of sediment into
Yeah, okay,
Pelocitos.
you can't see RCD getting involved. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that all makes sense, okay.
Right, and they're basically managing this project, and they're doing a great job.
No, they're a great local resource, good, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Side of the room?
Good.
Good. I didn't want you guys to think I'm ignoring you or anything. Okay, thank you. Geez, I'm gonna have to.
Okay, don't forget Kathleen.
I'm gonna have to, well, I have to consult my agenda here. Oh, as a matter of fact, we do have water resources report.
It's just information only. So in September, SFPUC announced that they met their water savings goal for the year. So this is their own internal goal that it's not what the state requires. And that was the 11 billion gallons, the cumulative savings over the calendar year. So that was good news. They had a press release. So I included that in the staff report if you wanted to read it, and the link if you wanted to see the entire staff report, press release, I should say. Staff has also met with West Yost to start work on the urban water management plan, which is due in 2016, July 1st. So I've also contacted Medaus Consulting. They're going to help us with our projections. So we're going to start working on the urban water management plan, and the final guidance is not out from the Department of Water Resources, but we've decided to start anyway because we can't wait too long. It's been delayed a couple months. So hopefully the Department of Water Resources will have their final guidance out soon, and then we can review it and make sure we're on track and meeting with and presenting the information the way they want it. And September marked the end of the water year. So water year 2015, and I included our local rainfall, which was 16 inches. Our historic average, rainfall is somewhere around 26 inches. So definitely a low water year, so hopefully El Nino comes through this winter, and we can help fill all the reservoirs around the state a little bit. That's it, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, and it looks like storm door may be sort of opening now.
Saturday.
Yeah. Which is historically mid-October. I mean, it's right on schedule. Back like the old days, used to rain at Pumpkin Festival. We used to get rain insurance for the Pumpkin Festival. We stopped doing it. Yeah, so the timing is lining up for, normal year, but who knows, we'll see. And at the Bosco meeting, they did do an overlay of precipitation and El Niños. For Central California, it's a 50-50.
Oh, I guess they're better.
Northern and Southern California probably will get more rain, but for us, it's a 50. There were El Nino years where we've had low rain and some where we've had high rain, so it's a roll of the dice. We'll see.
Good thing we got all that cooperation on recycled water,
Yeah.
Make up the deficit.
And thank you to the two gentlemen to my right for attending those meetings and going with a positive attitude, and maybe it will bear fruit.
Arnie's doing a great job.
Don't say
He
much.
calms the thing right down.
Thank you both, and good luck on the 19th. And I think, unless we have anything else, we could bang the gavel for adjournment.
Well, that's a record.
Yeah.
10 till 8.
I'm lobbying for president for life.
Huh?
Idi Amin Dada.
Have you heard of bribery?
It works.